And I'm gonna have another shot at Highway Rollers Master Difficulty against the Master John. Anyway, but of course I have to choose the very first mini game before I can set them to computer, like from Lego Batman. I guess just computer. So they're gonna lose right away. Goofy. My cat. She's just so goofy. See how well they do without any inputs. Dang. Virgil does pretty well for a drunk. Dang. Dang. For a drunk, he did pretty well. I'm not drunk, but whatever. Dang. Poor Frankie. Should turn the volume up a little bit. Just a smidge. Dang. Well, there we go. Like 52 spaces, dang. See a couple Stignatiuses in the crowd. I don't see Jenny or Snippet in the crowd. In fact, the only person I see who's wearing green is Theater. Dang. One space up before John. Master John. And he's the only one who can be called Master John because he's a master difficulty CPU me, and that's it. And I thought I could have said something witty right there, but I couldn't. And crap, this one. Well, I did surprisingly well at that one. Well, there we go. Even better. Catty. Cat. Goofy. Kitty. I will never understand why Party Phil takes so long to say that. Kitty. Cat. You are just so goofy and dang. Might be the best role I've had in a while. Or what I thought it was gonna be in the 50s or something. Not bad. gosh, I didn't land on a UFO. And I just realized I rolled the amount of the number I rolled. 46 is how old Virgil is canonically in my head, although nobody else really knows that, unless you are like a dedicated follower on Instagram, which I would doubt. At least most people watching this right now. You'd have to be an extremely niche group of people to know that. Dang. It looks like a stoplight. With the placement they're at, red, yellow, and green. Dang. Although I'm usually tempted to just call it orange. The game where even crappy rolls can be good rolls. Oh crap, this one. Could tell that I was doing pretty well at that. Dang. I just have to get super lucky with the dice roll-off thing. Well, if the others hurry up, then I can have this thing busted down quickly. Dang, I never would have guessed that the CPU me Jeff's favorite color is blue. Could I always see him in the colors like the other player colors? Could I always see him in red, green, or yellow? He's never in the first as player 1 because I'm always player 1 and dang. I knew it. I just have to make it harder. Even though it is one of Mimi's, but still. So it's acceptable. And crap. Okay, where is the... Okay. But now I have to risk busting this thing down again. Crap. Well, it won't really matter if I can't even bust the door down. Okay, thank gosh. Well, now my stress is over. I say that and the others are really close behind. And there's Billy, Nessie, Linda, Petra, Tiger, Dimitri, and August in the background. Dang. Uh-oh. Crap. Uh-oh. And there's Inez and Omar in the background. It's kind of random. I can't tell. Well, we got Omar and Inez. Crap, of course. Dang. Well, there we go. Hal won it for us, but just barely. And he still technically got caught on cam. At least he wasn't doing anything embarrassing. Like Omar cheating on me, Mom, when he's married to her in my Tamagotchi Island. Dang. And there's Kirk and Chloe, of all people. Boy, do they love to teleport and copy and paste to themselves. Well, at least I'm glad it's only the miis you created and not actually like any of the CPU miis. God, I just prefer miis, if you couldn't tell. So I'm glad even if they just copy and paste to them all, I'm glad it's pretty much exclusively miis that take up the background. Because I'm just arrogant like that, apparently. Just gotta rely on the strawberry strat for a while. Dang. just have to drag it on. Well, dang. Well, he was not the brightest bulb. Either. Uh-oh. And there's Magpie in the foreground. I'm tempted to say because they look like they're ever so slightly closer dressing crap. The one I always do crappy at, even in either roles. Easy. Dang. They're giving me easy ones. Feels like the others need to catch up. Crap. Well, that's the best I've managed to do at that one. But probably because they gave me really easy ones. Or maybe it was because Hal was slower during that one. During the middle one, I guess. I don't know. Well, at least someone can break down the other obstacle. And there's Jenny right there, dang. But where's Snippet? I'm pretty sure, yeah, I created him for the Wii U. I don't know. I gave him a Wii U iteration. I see Snail Mail of all characters. Dang. Dang. If I can manage to land on the 5 dice. Can't tell. But it's still considered a golden roll. Crap. And I'm not even the one in the last. Dang. Well, now I probably am. Yeah. Dang. Well, at least I'm in good standing to potentially pick the next mini game. Uh-oh. A real hit or miss one. At least in master difficulty. The first one is guaranteed to be it. I almost did it. Dang. I lifted my Wiimote to throw it, but thank gosh it wigged out and didn't do it just then. Dang. Back in the business of winning. Looks like, so far at least. If I wasn't losing, that is. general rule with them, if you get a single one dice, then it's a crappy one. You see that? I just proved my own point. And all the clapping stops. Dang. Well, at least I did still manage to go up any number of squares whatsoever. Yet I'm still priming myself for getting a last place again, but I might be able to pick the next mini game after they break down this door, that is. Dang. It sucks to be hitting the negative dice blocks, doesn't it? How? Of course, his number's not nearly as long as mine. Wink, wink. Dang. I still don't get why in the recent Tamagotchi Life Living the Dream trailer they used Wii U CPUs of all things. Like, not to say that the Wii U CPUs aren't cool, but the classic Nintendo Wii ones were the first were better, at least in my opinion. Classic, how can you not love Matt? So the fact that they didn't put Matt in the, didn't even put Matt in the trailer is, like, crazy. And of course, ever so conveniently, I'm not actually last place, but I guess I am now. Anyway. So yeah, the fact they didn't include even Matt is an offense to the senses, as if their Nintendo's constant greed weren't enough. And crap. Of course, the one I always do crappy at, pretty much in any level. Well, that was lucky. Dang. Dang. That was probably the best I've managed to do with that in a while. But of course they're so intent on making it hard that they make the other ones just as good as each other until they have to do a roll-off. But dang. I guess that one is also a matter of timing. But you have to memorize it or you'd just be insanely lucky. And there's Merc Monster. Dang, that dice got some serious air. Dang. Virgil, you're not that old. Anyway, crap. Now I gotta take a risk. I gotta be that guy. Thank gosh. Now mine, but also their stress is over. I feel it's best to throw them when you see at least one green on top. I don't know. At least 2 dice have to have the green on top. Well, it doesn't matter. Still don't have to worry, I just have to get a good enough roll to bypass the death zone right there. Dang. You have to keep giving Master John a boost. No, it's not by much. He could just simply, just walk a few feet or so. Human feet. But I guess he's not lazy, kind of like me. Sitting here playing video games all day, but not really. gaming sessions. When I do them, they usually take a couple hours, definitely not 24. Crap. One that I do crappy at. Gotta do some twerking, cause why not? Of course. Well, that was pathetic. They must have unbreakable wrists because they're a video game AI. They don't have wrists or souls. But then again, that sounds like an insult to the hard-working programmers of the world who work to code video games, and at least they actually do work compared to quote-unquote AI artists, unquote. At least video game programmers do work. So it's an insult to actual programmers. I'm getting primed up, I guess, not to be confused with the crappy quote-unquote sports drink, unquote. But I'm priming myself to own their snippet. I see a couple of them, but anyway, I'm priming myself up to be able to pick the next mini-game at least. And they have the audacity to call that a crappy roll. Dang. Dang. Even though that's not actually gonna get me. Or wait, it will. So I will be able to pick the next. Or wait, no, unless I. Yeah, it's impossible for me to pick the next minigame. Dang. Especially with a double roll like that. Dang. Well, that was lucky. Well, at least I'm out of that death zone. And I'm in for first. Dang. Okay, thank gosh you didn't pick the crappy knitting game. Not to say knitting in any way is crappy, but it's infinitely better. Well, yeah. Not only is it naturally cool, but it's infinitely better than quote-unquote AI art, unquote. So yeah, because it's an actual art form actual people do, and it produces real results. But I gotta still pay attention to this. That was close. Dang. There we go. And I still have the honors. Well, I still got second, so whatever. Dang. Dang. Just when you're tempted to take the crappy roll, and I guess it was, spoke a bit too soon. Especially when that happens. Well, either way, it doesn't really matter. Of course. So I went up like, what, 3 squares? Dang. And Hal's gonna pick the mini game again. Dang. Crap. The one I usually do crappy at. That was fast. Dang. Well, at least you can lower the number a little bit. Dang, this woman's Sentai pad. I see a couple of them. I still think they should have made it harder by pushing you backwards more than 15 spaces in order to make it an actual challenge. And dang, well, at least it was one of my miis, and I think I was in second place, so who cares? Dang, there's Bobby and a billion other miis, and probably a bunch of their lookalikes. Luffy, dang, Luffy doesn't come to celebrate. I don't even recall a time where I saw her, but anyway, whatever.